False accusations. Most of us, all of us, in fact, are familiar with that. People being accused of things, not because there's fact about it, just simply because that's human nature, to try to put other people down, to try to accuse people of things that they didn't do. And it's very damaging, and it causes a lot of pain, not only to the person falsely accused, but to those around that person. The ninth commandment in the Ten Commandments talks about not bearing false witness against your neighbor or against others. In fact, in Exodus 20:16, it says, "Do not give false witness against your neighbor." It's repeated in Deuteronomy 5:20, "Do not give false evidence against your neighbor." This is something that people throw out so freely when they want to try to hurt other people or damage them. They'll throw out these accusations. They don't necessarily even believe them, but just the idea of throwing out false accusations they believe puts a stain on the person that they're accusing. And this is completely wrong, and this is an abomination to God. Don't bear false witness against somebody. If you have factual evidence that somebody has done something wrong, you should be able to present it, and you should even be able to stand as a witness if that person that's been accused wants to question you. But to turn around and to falsely accuse somebody because you want to damage them, their reputation, damage them in any other way, is wrong. It's just simply wrong. I know in my life, one of the things that have been the most hurtful to me is to be falsely accused of doing things that I know I have not done, and I've tried to be careful not to give anybody any false impressions. But sometimes people's minds are so wicked, sometimes people are so filled with their own thoughts that they're willing to project them onto somebody else. I had a neighbor once I was close with, and he had some psychological issues. Anyway, he turned around and gave some false witness about me. And I don't know where he came up with this, but he said he thought that I was committing adultery with my worker. And because I'd asked this worker to clean, if she was willing to clean my house. My wife was out of the country and she was getting ready to come back the next day or two, and I wanted it clean when she got there. Not all men are the best keeping their houses in order and clean, and I asked her to do that. And my neighbor had her cleaning at his place as well. So she cleaned at my place, and then she turned around and went to his to work. And I noticed that one room she completely skipped. And I called her up and I said, "You didn't finish the house. You did the basics, but there was one room you completely ignored." Anyway, she told the neighbor that she was gonna come back to my house for about 15 minutes and just finish up the cleaning that one room, and then she'd be back to his place to finish. From that, he deduced I must be having an affair with her, and I was looking for a quick moment with her. Not based on any facts, just his own depraved mind, thinking that I must be looking for something like this. I have a sister who's very wicked, and has nothing but contempt for everybody else except for herself. And she made lots of false accusations about me as well. She tried to tell somebody that I must be committing adultery. She told other people that I was stealing my mother's jewelry and that I was taking it to pawn shops and selling it. And none of it could be farther from the truth. I would be willing to take a lie detector test any day, any time. I know who I am and I know what I've done. And I would never, ever do either of those acts. But people will say things. I don't know what's behind it, but they will say things to falsely accuse you. And you can go about trying to defend yourself. And sometimes it can be good. Sometimes people will acknowledge that. Sometimes people will turn around and even if you try to prove that it's not true, in the back of their minds, they're thinking, yeah, maybe there's a bit of truth in that. Maybe that person did do these things. And then there's other people that hear these false accusations and they will basically believe it and never question you about it. They'll just believe it. And then you're left trying to pick up the pieces or don't understand why this person avoids you or why they seem to act so disturbed with you. I have an aunt as well that this evil sister turned around and told her, my aunt, that my brother and my sister and myself were only after our mother's money. That could be so far from the truth, so far. But as a result of that, we don't have a relationship with my aunt anymore. None of us do, except for this wicked sister. So sometimes people do it to try to build alliances. Sometimes people do it to just try to be hurtful to others. Sometimes people are just depraved in their minds, and they do say these things because they get pleasure out of it. Whatever the case may be, I just want you to know that when you're falsely accused, God knows. God sees everything. There's nothing that escapes him. And when you're falsely accused, you will stand before him, and those that have falsely accused you will stand before him. And there is a day of judgment, that's for sure. So don't seek vengeance. Don't seek to do harm to someone else. Let him take care of that. He will. We just need to, if we're falsely accused, we need to be righteous in our behavior, and we need to know ourselves. If we haven't done it, we don't have to try to convince everybody, because a lot of times that doesn't help. People just assume if you're trying to convince them, no, I didn't do it, then you obviously did. I mean, you have famous people like Bill Clinton claiming he didn't have sex with Monica Lewinsky when he obviously did. You have so many people doing false things or bad things, and it gets blurred when people that really haven't done anything wrong are accused of it. And again, people do rush to judgment to try to accuse other people. And so we need to be filled with discernment so we don't turn around and falsely accuse other people. That's an evil, evil act. It's an evil act. Do not give false witness against your neighbor. It's one of the 10 Commandments. It needs to be observed.